So our roles that we're going to apply are going to include, is it a readable strip? And this is the first role that we're going to take a look at. So is this a readable strip? Well, when I take a look at this, I can see a wave here with a, there's a QRS complex and there's a P wave and there looks like a QRS there, but then I get into a bunch of this artifact. And this is not a great EKG or ECG to be able to interpret or measure anything from. So go ahead and hit the print button again and see what else you would be able to find. So this is not a good readable strip. This one here on the bottom is a little bit more of a baseline drift. And you can identify some waves in here, but it becomes difficult for you to really measure anything with accuracy. And the reason that I say that is because when I bring in my calipers, is that one of the things that you'll find is that if I measure this P wave here, I want to make sure that it's going to work. I want to make sure that that P wave is going to work over here. Okay, so let's kind of go ahead and organize these. And I have to really kind of judge where things are at. I can't get to a great baseline. So when I move this, you can see that it's kind of tough to tell whether or not I'm actually even. Is this something that is actually regular? So it becomes a little bit more difficult. Again, if it is something you absolutely need to do, you could really potentially use it, but I would say go ahead and hit the print again. So both of these are things this is what we're talking about when we say, is it a readable strip? These are things that we do not want to see. We want to see something that is actually going to be like this. As you can see here, I can identify the isoelectric line. In both of these ECGs, I can identify what that isoelectric line is. I can then clearly identify what a P wave is, what a QRS complex is, and what a T wave is. So yeah, when I apply these roles, this is what I'm looking at for a readable strip. So let's take a look at what our next role is. Are P waves present or absent? There's no maybe. It's either yes or no. Either they're present or they're absent. And if they are present, are they regular or irregular? Now we'll get back into a little bit of that. Is it regularly irregular, irregularly irregular, or occasionally irregular once we look at some of those areas, and we can help identify what I mean by that. So let's take a look here at our top strip, and we can see that this actually is a P wave, and this is a P wave, and this is a P wave. And as you can see, as we come down through here, these are all P waves. So P waves for the top ECG are yes, they are present. For the bottom ECG, they are present as well. So yes. So our first question is answered. And that is, are P waves present or absent? And here you can see that they are present. Now, to determine whether or not they are regular, we need to use our calipers. So I'll pull those back in here. And it doesn't really matter which ones you use, which way you use this, whether or not you use the ones on the top or the ones on the bottom. And everybody always wants to know, should we go to a particular part of the P wave? I like to go at the top, and that just means that, so if I go from the top of one, so if I go from the top of, let me just change colors here. So if I go from the top here, I want to go to the top here. Okay, so I want to make sure that I'm measuring it in the same spot each time. Okay, so now I will just move my calipers. And I'm just asking, are they regular or irregular? And right off the bat, these top ones absolutely are regular. So therefore, this would have a regular P wave. So our P waves are present and they are regular. So let's take a look at our bottom one. Let's see if that is regular as well. And we're going to move our calipers so we get a good P to P. That's what we're going to call this, a P to P. And we're going to move this down. And it looks like they're pretty regular when I do this. A little off. So sometimes if they're about a block off, half a block off, you're still okay. We would count that as being regular. So again, this is a regular P wave. Okay, let's take a look at our next aspect, or see if we can find something different when we're looking for P waves and regularities. So again, we're taking a look at P waves. And so far you've seen in the first two ECGs that they were pretty easily identified. We had a P wave that actually was rounded, right? So it kind of did one of those, and that's okay. But you will also notice, though, that these almost look like they have a little peak to them. Okay, so they have a little bit more of a peak to them. So let's find out. It does look like there are P waves. And just for simplicity, I'm not going to go ahead and circle each one, but we're going to measure them. So if they're P waves, they should line up. And we're just, again, doing a P to P. And we'll move our waves down. And it looks like they line up. Okay. Another thing to take a look at sometimes is that you may be able to see that they also line up with the QRS complexes sometimes. So that makes life a little bit easier as well. Now, we have those, so let's come down here and take a look at these P waves as well. Readjust our calipers. Again, we're just looking to see whether or not these things are regular or irregular. And they appear to be regular. Okay? So we have P waves. We found that the P waves are regular. And that's as much as we have achieved thus far. And we'll go into the next roll.